What's up, guys? Welcome back to Small Talks. I'm your host, Aaron De Guzman. And before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to all my subscribers. We recently hit 350 subscribers this week. So give yourself a round of applause and thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoy. So let's do this. All right, guys. So let's check what the topic is for today. Let's go. So the topic for today is how to spot scams. Now, let's face it, everyone wants to get rich. Everyone wants to, be better, have better lifestyles, have bigger cars, lots of money, and all of those things. Now, of course, if you're a beginner, you are susceptible to drawing a specific type of crowd. These are called scammers. Now, I'm not saying everyone you meet is a scammer, but let's say there are a lot of factors why scammers target, especially newbies. Well, it's out of their desperation or out of their eagerness or out of basically their naivete. I've been there a couple of times too. So let me help you in spotting these kinds of scams. So tip number one, if a deal offers you high payoff with zero to minimal risk, it's probably a scam. Now, every time you invest, there is a chance that you will lose money. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, and the bigger investment you make, the higher the risk. So, when someone offers you a deal, like for example, triple your money, quadruple your money in a few days, do all of those things, you've already heard it, times two in a few days. It's probably a scam, guys. Especially if they don't allow you, if they don't require you to work at all. Like for example, just give me your money, I'll double it in a few days. That's probably a scam. Now, a lot of people tend to ask also, especially for beginners, is the stock market a scam? No, that stocks are not a scam because you're accumulating risk. When you invest, there is a chance that you will lose money, and not everyone gains from the stock market. Take me for example. I almost lost 25,000 last week. Given some of the incidents, I won't go into the details. I almost lost it, but thank God I was able to trade it for a while, so I got enough profit. It's not a lot, but it is something. It's better than a loss. Tip number two. If you're in a time pressure or people are pressuring you to invest right now, that's probably a scam. If you ever heard these words, invest now, limited time only, all of those things, well, guess what? They're probably a scam. Or they're just discounts. It depends on the person who is speaking to you. But if you're facing a scammer, they will pressure you in investing at this moment. Okay? A real investor or a real salesperson will give you enough time to think it over because they have confidence in their product. They're not just landing a sale. Now, if you feel that you're being pressured to do something or to invest immediately, then I want you to consider that it could possibly a scam. It could possibly be a scam. Sorry. Tip number three. If an investment offers you commission when you recruit others to do it. I'll give you an example. Stop me if you heard this one. Someone comes to you and says, invest now, get 30% income in a few days, and if you recruit a friend, 15% of their profits go to you. Sound familiar? Yes, it's called a commission. And a lot of investments, legitimate ones, do not fall into that tactic. Why? Why would they? The reason why people entice others with commission is because they want to expand that type of operation. Okay? Scams are merely operations in which they benefit the seller rather than the buyer. All right? That's the same principle that applies. So take for example, remember Broilerpreneur? Remember those guys? I've been scammed out of 9,000 pesos by those guys in the hopes that I would be investing. Well, take it from me. To be honest, I've been stupid about that, but it doesn't excuse the fact that they offer those types of people. They allow them to invest, and then at the same time, they offer the commissions if they can recruit other people to do it as well. So, you know, if it's a legitimate investment, why would they need to recruit other people? All right, it's the same as the Ponzi scheme. If you don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, look it up. Google is probably in your tabs. I suggest you use it. Tip number 4. If a company has suspicious track records, probably a scam. Now, if you're investing in a company that you know nothing about, that's on you. But a good way to test the water is to find out how legitimate they are. Now, there are some investments with legitimate companies that are really just word of mouth, all of those things. But there are some companies that are too good to be true. They sound too good to be ever true, which they are. So I want you to do this. If they look, they try so hard to look legitimate, they're probably a scam. Okay, guys, you don't see Ayala, Robinson's, SM trying to promote on how legit they are. They rely on word of mouth, and come on, everybody knows who they are. All right. So if a company is too good to be true, it probably is. Number 5. If that company is affiliated by, let's say, XYZ company, it's probably a scam. Now, as a part of authenticity, some scam artists tend to affiliate themselves with some sort of make-believe accreditation from XYZ companies. This is a natural phenomenon, guys, because they're not targeting smart investors. They're not targeting researchers. They're not targeting you. What they are targeting are beginners, the uninitiated, and those people who are just starting out. Those are the eager people that would buy into their stories. Now, if you're not like that, which you should do your research in validating those types of claims. Not everything has to be technical, or not everything has to be very deep in order for you to understand it. Salespeople know this. They should know who their markets are, and they should be able to relate themselves to their clients. Now, scammers don't do this. Scammers, what they do is they're going to confuse their people, or the people they're talking to, with as much make-believe stories as possible, so that they would feel, or the clients will feel overwhelmed, or they have an idea of what they're doing, even though in reality they're just being scammed. So, bottom line, review all of those affiliations being presented to you before you make a decision. Not all scams are investment scams. So, a lot of scams take the form of, let's say, phishing scams. Now, how do you spot one? Let's go for tip number 6. If you get notifications and awards for something that you have no idea that you participated. Now, picture this. You receive an anonymous tip or another anonymous text message saying that you won 3,500 pesos, and now you have to click the link in order to claim it. Sound familiar? Now, this is what you call phishing scams, in which they just cast a wide net of unsuspecting victims and hope one of them sticks. Alright? Don't click on these guys. You'd be giving away personal information that could be used for malpractice. Like, for example, opening a credit card in your name using your mailing address. So, don't let these scammers get in the way of your hard-earned money. So, as bottom lines, if you receive a text, notifications, or any other emails regarding that you want something, don't answer it, especially if you did not participate Am I clear? Tip number 7. How secure is secure? If something is shady, it probably is. Trust your gut on that one. There are millions of websites out there to get you. So, make sure that you only click the links that you trust. All right, guys? Google, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Just make sure that you don't click something shady. Otherwise, you may end up being a victim of identity theft, scams, or I don't know, some other form of devious plot. Tip number 8. If a website uses stock photos for anything else, it's probably a scam. Now, I'm not saying every website is a scam. I'm just saying that a lot of scam companies tend to use stock photos, or they borrow photos from other companies to validate their legitimacy. All right? It's not photography, it's not creative difference, it's just annoying. All right? I can't say the BS word, but you get the picture. If it uses too many stock photos, or if the company doesn't have, like, for example, uh, like a class picture, or or a corporate profile picture, or its staff members are not paraded into the website, if it's not out there, it's probably a scam, because as much as possible, companies tend to relate themselves to the community by showing the faces of its people, unless it's confidential, but you never know. So don't rely too much on stock photos, guys. All right, tip number 9. The Nigerian print scam. Now, this is an oldie but a goodie, and it targets basically kids, the elderly, and the uninitiated. It goes something like this. You receive an email from let's say, a pen pal from another country, and then they say that they have X amount of money, something like that, and that they will be willing to give you half the percentage if you just cover their taxes and deposit it. Now, you think that since this is the oldest one of the oldest scams in the book, that it doesn't take effect anymore. You'd be wrong, actually. They still use display, and but now they kind of lowered their standards on whom they actually target this to. They target the elderly, the senile, the people with the uninitiated. So yeah, just be careful around these types of emails, guys. Whenever you meet someone who is willing to give you money in the hopes of helping them in assistance with something with the government, etc., etc., don't do it, guys. All in all, don't do it. You're smarter than that. Time to use that brain. Lastly, tip number 10. If a company or a representative suspends your disbelief, all right, this is where the difference between the sales and the scammer diverges. All right, the route of the sales and the route of the scammer kind of intersect in this part. A salesperson will explain as much as possible for you on what their product is, and if you have any questions, they're going to answer them at most of their ability. Now, the difference between the scammer is quite the opposite. Let's face it. If you find a plot hole, if you find a loophole in their presentation or in their explanation in that matter, they will sidetrack that question. Like they're going to sweep it under the rug. All right, guys. You have to be able to distinguish these types of people that don't hold your best interest at heart. Their only concern is about your money. All right? So if they suspend your disbelief, you should stop spending your time with them. All right, guys? Use your head. Bonus question. Why do people resort to scams? Now, that is a very long and tedious conversation on why people do what they do. All right? My biggest answer for that is, why do people take scams, is because there is a market for this. The mindset of you have to be rich as fast as possible tends to create that type of demand that they are willing to supply you with false information. Let's face it, who are the most frequent people who get scammed. Those are the people who want to get rich as fast as possible. Those you who want to call instant millionaires. There's no such thing, guys. So if you want to build your wealth, it's a long and arduous process in which you have more failures than normal. But if someone is offering you instant access to that, don't believe it, don't buy it. All right? It takes decades to amount a fortune. So don't fall for these tricks, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.